argued with a pro-choicer on the internet, on their Facebook, or on Twitter has experienced this phenomena that I'm about to talk about. And just to set it up, I want to talk about a historical precursor to this phenomena. When abolitionists of slavery set out to persuade the masses that slavery was the evil of their age and that it should be abolished now, there was a problem, and the major obstacle to their persuasion was the reality that the people they were arguing with depended on this sin for their livelihood. So not only were they saying we need to abolish slavery, but we're saying your job is sinful. What is providing for you is sinful, and you've participated in this great evil that we want to abolish. Similarly, we experience the same things as people who fight abortion and oppose abortion and want to see it abolished now. I think Guttmacher says something like, in the next few years, it'll have been 1 in 3 women will have had an abortion in their lifetime. Which, if we really think about that conceptually, odds are we've met plenty of post-abortive women. But that's not the point that I want to make. The point I want to make is when these people show up on the page and they post incessantly on every single post, or they post their own post multiple times, and they're angry and they're there constantly. And we argue with them constantly. And we wonder, why can't we persuade them? What is the problem? I've thrown every fact, every logical syllogism that I could to explain to them what abortion is. I've explained to them that the unborn is human definitively. I've given them science books. I've explained it to them philosophically, religiously. There is no objection that they could hold and maintain any sort of intellectual integrity. And we move on and say that person cannot be reached, and we continue on with the same tools in our kit. But the problem is, and this is something that we have forgotten today in the pro-life movement, and it's something we want to see brought back out, resurrected, so to speak, and that's why you see us with such a theological emphasis in the way we argue. When you are talking to someone who is that angry about it, it is very, very likely that they've participated. It doesn't mean that everyone that's angry about being pro-choice and angry about people who are pro-life, it doesn't mean that they've all had abortions. It could mean they knew someone. It could mean it was their mother. It could mean it was their sister. It could mean it was their girlfriend. It could mean that it was something that they just approved of. Or it could just be that they approve of it and defend it, and they recognize that it is the evil of their age and that they participated in it. But the problem is you need to see the stakes. The stakes for a pro-choicer to admit that you are right. It is very likely that they have to admit that they were an accomplice or even participated in murder. That must be understood. There is an incentive to willingly refuse to understand. And they're dominated by guilt and shame and pain. And what we continue to do is throw arguments at them to show them something that they already know. So basically what I want people to understand, and the reason I'm making this video, is that the reason we have a theological emphasis, the reason our foundation is the Scriptures, is we have a solution to that guilt, that shame, that pain. We have the gospel of Jesus Christ. We have free grace offered to every man and woman who would humble himself or herself and repent. That is our only tool against those who are so entrenched in this sin. You need to understand the stakes are high. Here's what they're admitting. If they admit you're right, they may be admitting, I've murdered my own child. They may be admitting, I gave approval to someone murdering their own child. They may be saying, I've fought for it. I've argued for it. I've argued for this sin. And you need to understand, if there is no way for them to be forgiven, they cannot admit they're wrong. Because they know they'll be judged. Because they feel guilt and they feel shame for their position. So that's why you see various people who are closely associated with AHA, when they're talking to someone on the internet, and it may be a pro-choicer, and they don't necessarily throw a fact at them. They may say something like, have you participated in abortion? The reason they've done that is we want to hit on the problem. The problem is a moral problem. People are enslaved to this sin, and the only solution is the gospel of Jesus Christ.